Human.
Black Friday is Football Friday at Buffalo Wild Wings Mall of America, PA. Nordo, Alec Lewis are live for the Friday football feast starting at 9 a.m. with doors at 8 a.m. Great food, cold drinks, and prizes all morning long. KFAN.com keyword calendar for all the details. KFAN.com keyword calendar.
Here he is, one of our very favorites, the Scribe, courtesy of Standard Heating and Air, standardheating.com. Via X, via Twitter, his name is at Ben Goessling, and you can follow him if you're so inclined, as 9 to Noon does. And as we introduced you, as you were negotiating the hallways of Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, I think for the first time in the history of 9 to Noon and our friendship, I referenced you as Benny G. Old Benny G's coming up around the corner. A, when's the last time somebody called you Benny G? And B, does anybody call Ben Goessling either Benny or Benjamin?
My grandparents used to call me Benjamin. I actually went by Benjamin as a little kid, more so than I can't remember what age I switched to Ben. But Benny G has not been one I've gotten a ton. I've heard it a few times in my life, especially in the 90s during the height of the Kenny G dynasty, shall we say. I got Benji some as a kid.
Benji, though.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's like the dog. So, yes,
right.
This is, we get to go down the run of things that people said to me in fourth grade to make fun of me.
Yeah.
Whatever. For those of you who were making fun of me in fourth grade, appreciate you listening now, because I know some of you are.
I had Nerdquist a lot.
Nerdquist?
Yeah, there you go.
That one stuck. Yeah. That one,
Yeah, see, we have names like he could be Ben, Benji, Benny, or Benjamin, and his name's Benjamin. Benjamin is of the regal variety.
Yeah.
Benjamin is a regal name.
Son of my right hand is the
really?
The Old Testament translation of that. Yes.
He's Eric, so he's E. He's Eric or he's E. I'm Paul. I guess I could be Paulie.
Yeah.
Paul Alien was what I was teased with in high school for having one eyebrow. Then I made the mistake of shaving the middle of it and messed it up. So thus, I need to have it waxed every so often. And that's a really interesting story. We're
going deep here this morning.
At one time, Nordo, by a caller, John from Minneapolis, was referred to as Eric Nordquick.
Nordquick.
You just calling him Nordquick, but Paul
felt more like a speech impediment than an actual nickname. But some, whether it's Benjamins, you encounter Michaels.
Yeah.
You encounter Richards. And it's actually like a serious thing. And, whatever, it's your name. You just call you what you want to be called, certainly.
Right.
But it's like, no, I'm not Rich. No, I'm not Mike. I'm Michael.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm Richard.
Ben Goessling is a scribe covering a football team. Benjamin Goessling writes novels.
Yeah.
And resides in Maine on the same property as Stephen King.
Maybe at some point in my life we'll put the extra
Stephen
5 letters
King
back on the end if I decide to get more serious with my writing career.
Up there in Nordo's favorite town, Bangor, as in Bangor, Maine. McCarthy concussion. Concussion. Brosmer gets first team reps unless JJ is cleared, playing off the press conference yesterday, where Benjamin Goessling was peppering the head coach with questions. So Brosmer plays Sunday, doesn't he?
I think so.
Right. What leads you to that conclusion? Well, you're the scribe. I'm just the three-chinned announcer.
Yeah, I think the fact that McCarthy's still in the concussion protocol, we don't know how quickly he'll come out of that. It will take at least a couple of days, meaning tomorrow's the key to it in a lot of ways, I think, because if you're taking first team reps on Wednesday, which is the big day of the week, especially Thursday is on a little bit of a truncated schedule because of Thanksgiving, I think if Brosmer is taking first team reps tomorrow, which I have every indication to believe he will be, then you're getting the prep work, you're getting the game plan built with you in mind. I think Brosmer is, barring some type of a quick return for J.D. McCarthy and the concussion protocol, I don't think that would allow for him to come back that fast. I think it's Brosmer that will get the reps, which means it's going to be Brosmer that starts.
Have you done any hardcore all-22 film watching to determine exactly where the potential concussion symptoms originated? Yes. I've just been going with, I assume that when he scrambled, did not slide, got smacked pretty good, sat there for about 2 real-time seconds with both of his hands kind of just up.
The fencing response, as they call it.
And he required, it appeared, a little assistance, a little help from a friend to get off the turf. That might be the patient zero moment for him.
Yeah, I think that's it. There was one in the third quarter, I think that Michael Parsons sacked him, and he was down for a second, where the official kind of stood over him and kind of did the, hey, are you good? Check in. He came back after that, obviously, but the scramble, it was 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Actually got face masked on that play. If you watch it from the end zone copy, his face mask got twisted around as he's scrambling out and then gets hit by Isaiah McDuffie. And then, yes, when you talk about his hands being in the air, that is the thing that I wonder about, because that is the common involuntary response. People call it a fencing response or a fencing pose. He had a little bit of that, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a neurologist, so I can't say that for sure. But from what I've learned from covering this and just being a coach, that you go through concussion training protocol with the State High School League every year too. So you see some of these things. That's.
I think he threw his second pick on the very next play.
Yeah. That would be the one that I figured, because Hawkinson helped him up pretty quickly too. So that would be my guess. But there were a couple of times where he got hit in the second half. Obviously got sacked 5 times. So there were a couple of moments that may have played into it, but the scramble in the fourth quarter would be the one where my mind goes.
Lastly here, then we'll pause and we'll go marathon with Ben Goessling from the Star Tribune after a short pause. From 4-7, that's the record. How do you think they handle the final 6? Is knowing what they have for 2026 becoming an A topic?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, especially at the quarterback position, I think that becomes the A topic, because you have to figure out where you're going to be at with J.J. McCarthy. We'll see how long he takes to come back from this concussion. You'll probably get a week of Max Brosmer, and then I would assume it goes back to McCarthy, but they'll at least get a look at Max Brosmer if, in fact, he's starting on Sunday. You have to figure this out, though. I mean, you have to have a decent sense of where can the quarterback position go? How do you build around it? I think it's that, and then there are a lot of players on the defensive side of the ball that you're going to have to make decisions on. A couple of those defensive tackles. I think there's going to be a lot of questions about the secondary, trying to figure out what that looks like in 2026. So it does become about that, I think, in a lot of ways, because this is a team that's heading toward another very pivotal offseason with a lot of draft picks and a lot of salary cap decisions to make. So, yes, I do think that becomes a big part of what you get out of these last 6 if the playoffs aren't going to be a piece of it.
You're listening to 9 to Noon with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, joining about 45 minutes from now. Coming up around the corner, more with the scribe, Ben Goessling, courtesy of 9 to Noon, and thanks to Standard Heating and Air. Back after this.
Aquarius Home Services has your shot at 4 tickets to see Green Bay take on the Purple in early January, plus $500 in game day cash. Register for your chance to win today on the KFAN contest page and KFAN.com/furnace. KFAN.com/furnace.
All right, there are not only Kevin O'Connell with a 9 to Noon, 45 minutes from now, but press conferences, coordinator press conferences each and every Tuesday. Brian Flores, Wes Phillips with the offense, Matt Daniels with the special teams. They'll all be speaking today, and the scribe will be on the scene, so follow him at Ben Goessling via X for anything interesting that percolates from said confabs. Now, back to just to land the plane on the quarterback situation here. If Brosmer plays, in what ways do you think it will look different?
Well, I mean, the thing we saw in the preseason that he did really well was playing with some anticipation, throwing to spots where he expected guys to be, throwing guys open in a sense. And now I hedge on that a little bit because you're not seeing any game plan for you in the preseason. It's very basic coverages. It's backups that you're playing against. So extrapolating what we see in the preseason and saying, oh, this is exactly what he's going to do in the regular season, I think can be a little bit of a jump sometimes. So expecting that he's going to look exactly like he did against the Titans in August is probably a little bit of a stretch. But if you get him to transfer those things, that is helpful because we have seen times where J.J. McCarthy needs to play faster and needs to play with a little more anticipation. I think if Brosmer can play fast, if he can get rid of the ball, if he can make decisions quickly, especially against a team that's going to throw a lot of different blitzes, a lot of different looks with Mike McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be certainly the most helpful thing the Vikings could get out of him. We saw enough of it in the preseason. If he can do it in a more realistic setting, I think that certainly could be helpful.
Now, I've heard, and I've heard him say this, I'm just preparing every day like I'm going to be the starter.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily entirely accurate, at least from the standpoint, like he's spending a lot of time, whether it's scout work and doing some other things throughout the week to help get the team ready.
Right.
So really, at least as far as maybe how much different will it be with him getting all the 1 reps probably tomorrow?
Yeah.
And if the kid's not cleared from concussion protocol, really, he's kind of thrust into that spot, and it feels like a different week of prep for him.
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot different because now all of the resources are devoted to you. The game plan is built with your input. Hey, what do you like? What are you comfortable with here? How do you feel about this route concept? All of that, when Kevin O'Connell talks about the red pen meeting, if we get to the end of the week and it's Max Brosmer that's the guy, Max Brosmer is the one that's helping Kevin O'Connell say, no, we're not putting this in the game on the call sheet this week. The red pen goes to this play.
Yeah.
All of those things are handled differently when you're the starter than when you're where he's been, where it's you might get a rep here or there, but you're getting look team stuff. You're staying after practice to work with Jordan Traylor and just getting some work on your own. You'd have to do a lot of self-study as the number 2 or the number 3 in the regular season. It works differently than it does in training camp, where you're going to get reps and you're going to get more coaching devoted directly to you. In the season, it's about getting the number 1 quarterback and the number 1 offense ready to play on Sunday. And if Max Brosmer is that guy that's getting those reps, which I have, like I say, every reason to think he will, that is going to look a lot different than what he's had this season.
Now,
go ahead.
Well, I was just curious. We've heard it throughout the year. The coach has been challenging J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
We've heard throughout the year, challenging him to such a degree, really, that it's all on the plate. So we're making checks. We're making adjustments at the line, pre-snap into the action, getting into the right play.
Yeah.
That does feel, though, in this instance, like that might be a little bit different. And I wonder how the coach kind of handles, I hate to say hand-holding, that sounds, pejorative or negative, but I don't think so in this case. Just, trying to ease him into what is a really massive spot with that defense and what lies ahead with an 8-3 Seahawks team.
And in a building that the Vikings, last year notwithstanding, have not had a ton of success in over the years. That is not an easy place to play out in Seattle. So, and it's a team that's going to be fired up. It's a team that is in the mix to go to the playoffs. It's a team that's enjoying its new quarterback, Sam Darnold. So there's going to be a lot going into this one for Max Brosmer. Yeah, how much does he simplify things? I think you'll probably see. We saw, I think, a little bit of this on Sunday, even in Green Bay. There were a lot more design runs. I think some of that was saying, let's make this a little easier for J.J. McCarthy. Let's build the run game as more of a complement. And they were able to do some of that early that I do think it simplified it. It made it more accessible for him. I think I'd put it that way, where they were in better down and distance situations. He was able to work off play action. I think they'll try to do some of those same things for Max Brosmer in terms of how much he's going in with canned plays, and you have package stuff that you can to one thing if you don't like the look. I would imagine they're still going to do a fair amount of that stuff. They have not wanted to pull back on it. It'll be interesting to hear what Wes Phillips has to say about it today as well. But I think the key to it is finding enough plays where it's not on the quarterback's shoulders to say, I've got to read things back to my 3rd or 4th option and buy some time if the pass rush is getting to me. I think the number of times you can keep him from having to do that, it's helpful. I think they were moving in that direction in Green Bay. I would expect a little bit of that to continue if, in fact, it's Max Brosmer on Sunday.
What triggered you or what intrigued you, so to speak, with a Kurt Warner podcast, I believe, on ways McCarthy can play faster?
Yeah, so Kurt Warner does these. There's a number of quarterbacks that do them, but when Kurt Warner does one on the Vikings, I typically try to watch because it's obviously a guy that is an NFL Hall of Famer, has a pretty remarkable path from going from, like QB4 to the guy that kind of turned the NFL on its head in 1999 with the Rams, and then goes to another Super Bowl with the Cardinals and came very close to winning a Super Bowl with another team, with a second team in the NFC, if not for the
Santonio
Ben Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes catch in the back of the end zone. I was going to say Heinz Ward, but yes, it was Santonio Holmes in the
James
back corner.
Harrison before halftime.
James Harrison before halftime, yes. And when Larry Fitzgerald split those safeties, and it looked like, the Cardinals are going to win this game. But so Warner is unique in the sense that he's been at that level, but he takes the time to do pretty detailed analysis of things. And it's interesting with him because he's very opposed to pure progression reads, and the Vikings use a fair amount of this, and he gets into a lot of this in the video. So it was interesting to watch it from that perspective in terms of why he thinks pure progression is a tough way to play sometimes because it does, in his view, slow things down. So his input on that I thought was fascinating. And then he also got into a lot of the detail about protection issues and just route running details that could have helped J.J. McCarthy out if people are taking routes a little wider to gain leverage before breaking back in. It's a lot of nuancy football stuff, but it's a pretty good watch. It's about 48 minutes.
Can you please define pure progression?
Yeah, so it's basically rather than trying to read coverages from, pre-snap, you're starting from one side and saying, okay, this is 1, and then I'm going 1 to 2 to 3, and the reads are you start from one side of the field and then you're kind of going through the list of what is there, and the routes are constructed in such a way that it should take your eyes from 1 to 2 to 3 relatively easily. But I think his point has been if you're trying to read all the way across the field, it makes it harder to play fast and get rid of the ball quickly. And a lot of teams do this, and I think you'll hear Kevin O'Connell talk about voids and vacancies. And I think in his mind, it's an easier way to play because you're not saying, okay, what is this team in? I'm not having to look at, okay, the safeties are cover 2 versus cover 3 or cover 4, especially cover 2 versus cover 4 in terms of what the depths of the safeties are and the widths. Yeah. I'm not trying to do as much of that. I'm reading things out and saying, where is there space? And I'm just throwing to that spot. In O'Connell's mind, it should be a relatively easy way for quarterbacks to play fast. But I think Warner has had a little bit of a different viewpoint on this, and he wasn't raised in a pure progression world, so I think there's a lot of things where he looks at it and says, this is not something that worked for me necessarily. It's a different viewpoint on the way this offense works that I thought was fascinating.
I'm glad I asked.
Well, it is fascinating and PA and I were joking about it a week or two ago. It's like, I wonder, I wish someone would do like a D-line all 22 and start a podcast channel. Everyone's got big opinions on the quarterbacks for good reason, of course. But I've started digging into some of these as well. I watched the same video that you were talking about. I love Kurt's analysis. I've watched JT O'Sullivan in the QB school. Yep. I see Orlovsky on ESPN, and there's 50 other that we could run down the list and name. What makes it fascinating to me, though, is that I've seen multiple very different opinions, either on what is wrong with J.J. McCarthy, what's potentially right. Sean Salisbury joins Barrero yesterday, and he thinks that there's too much focus on the mechanics and actually let the kid just sling it and let him loose and just kind of simplify some things, it sounded like. Yeah. And then that can work. On the other side of it, if you let him loose with the wide base and the weird arm angle and the shoulders, it's going to be nothing but a dumpster fire. Yeah. And then in the end, you just have KO and his pure progression system that some guys like or don't like. It's just kind of fascinating now that there is a massive spotlight on J.J. McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell inherently, that there's still, it's 50 different voices, 30 different opinions, and in the end, 6 games that have not looked good.
Yeah, and the thing we should add to this discussion is that all of those voices, and I think a lot of them, Warner says this a lot, JT O'Sullivan will say this, you'll hear Peyton Manning say this, they're not in the room. They're not privy to what J.J. McCarthy is being coached to do or asked to do directly. So all of this stuff we have to take with a grain of salt. Nobody that is putting an opinion out online has the final say on this because none of us have all of the information we'd need to make a definitive ruling on this happened and this should have happened instead. So all of this, we need to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. I had somebody last night respond to me on Twitter saying, hey, what's the summary of the, I tweeted out a tease to the video and said somebody goes, well, so that must mean it's O'Connell's fault. Like, no, I'm not going there because I said we should watch the video. Yeah. Because there's a lot more nuance. There's a lot more context. There's a lot of times where I think the answer to these things is, well, it depends. Depends on the coverage you get. It depends on the leverage that a receiver has. You have to figure out what the right answer is in that particular situation on a down and distance, what you need to do on a play, it's hard to just paint with a broad brush and say, well, this is the one problem or this is the one thing he needs to do different. Sometimes the solution is different on different plays, and I think that's what makes this job hard, is you have to get to the point where I've seen everything and I know how to answer all of these different problems I'm going to face. And when you're 22, it's hard to have all of these answers right away.
Special teams coordinator Matt Daniels, as we mentioned earlier, speaks today. What was your read on the punt return gaffe down by the 5?
Well, I mean, we've seen that happen before where a guy is trying to, keep the gunner from getting to the ball. And that was, I think, what Miles Price was trying to do. Obviously, he gets blocked into the ball and then it's a live ball and they get it recovered. So, again, it's a judgment call thing where you're trying to keep it from getting pinned back on your 1 yard line, but then the worst possible thing happens and you end up paying the price, pardon the pun, because of the turnover. So it's one of those where he probably should get away from the ball and try to just say, hey, don't get anywhere near it. It's a live ball. People have different code words they use for that. They'll yell them. He could have done that. I think he was trying to make a play that helped them out, but in the end, the cost of what he tried to do outweighed any benefit that there might have been from it.
Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. All of this is courtesy of Standard Heating and Air.
So if Max Brosmer goes out and performs well, doesn't that just make things kind of weirder Sunday afternoon in terms of how you sum all this up? I mean, special teams, he was mentioning it, just, there are so many things that we could probably dig into as part of a 4-win team.
Yeah.
But I'm just now, for me, it's always been about, for better or worse, if the 22-year-old is healthy to play.
Yeah.
He needs to get all these reps.
I agree.
Missed too much time a year ago. We got the ankle bit. Now this concussion thing, that sucks. I want to see the kid so that the team can know, as you mentioned. But now this undrafted cat rolls in. There's a little local love because he was wearing maroon and gold before purple and gold. He just goes out there and goes toe-to-toe with Sammy D out west on Sunday. That's going to make for very interesting talkers post-Thanksgiving. It's going to be fun if that happens.
If he were to go out and beat Sam Darnold, the discussion on all of this is going to get so tangled up that... it's gonna be fun. I guess.
Because O'Connell yesterday talked about. I'm going to bring it up with him when he joins here within a half hour. So I want to frame it up the right way. You mentioned getting to attack mode yesterday, and clearly that's been a calling card of O'Connell since he arrived.
Yep.
I'm asking him about some keys to returning to that. So say Brosmer plays Sunday. And it's just attack mode out of the gate with Jefferson. And here's Jefferson for 26. Here's Addison, with some middle zone attacking thing that he just loved that he brought from Los Angeles. And here's Addison for 24. And attack mode is just deet. I mean, what's that going to be like?
Well, I mean, I would think it would be very interesting to see what they would do. I would assume
the attack mode you think means the downfield passing.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, and they like to play that way. They like to look for chunks. That is different than some West Coast iterations of this, where they are thinking, let's chase the big play. I mean, they want to push the ball downfield, which is not always the way you see this offense run. So if they get some of that, it would be, I think, a shot in the arm. Then this question of what do you do after that is going to come up, and we're all going to talk about it. I still think the final rendering on J.J. McCarthy has to be the most important thing they think about.
Yeah.
If Max Brosmer goes and plays that well, it becomes a much more complicated discussion. And I'm sure the local angle has obviously influenced a lot of the discussion on Max Brosmer to this point, and it will continue to do so if he goes out and does that.
I've seen Max Brosmer behind the scenes either here or at team hotels on the road. We ride the same bus to the stadium, sits a few rows behind me. I can't remember. I've seen this more times than I have not. Him walking around, now he's not going to play, but he might play. He's the backup.
Right.
Walking around with a laptop or some type of Surface Pro or whatever they look at. And he's always has it with him and always is looking down. He's always looking at plays. And I think he's the kind that can take on a lot of that. And I'm not saying remember exactly everything, but not become overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, we heard him say that in the preseason, and in the conversations I've had with him, I mean, he's very sharp. There's no doubt about that in terms of his understanding of football and just understanding of the situation and the context of what he's in. I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by the complexities of the game plan, so that probably will influence how much they feel like they can put on him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he is not, and I think he's understood that when I come in as an undrafted free agent, I come in as the developmental guy, I have to do a lot of this pull myself up by the bootstraps stuff because I'm not getting the same investment that I would if I was the 10th overall pick in the draft, and that's just what it is. I think he understands that if you're going to survive in the NFL in the way that he came into it, because there are, I mean, everybody talks about, okay, it's a meritocracy. Yes, but if you're a draft pick, you get more resources and more benefit of the doubt than you do if you were where he came in.
Yeah.
And guaranteed money plays a lot into this too. So I think he's understood the context of it very well, and he's done everything he can to put himself in the best possible situation.
Kind of a weird or dumb question. How much do you think it means for the rest of the team just to feel some semblance of success? I mean, you think about, fresh off of 14, changing expectations, raising the kid. Maybe at this stage of the year, there's biting of tongues and people that are just happy to get big paychecks. I'm not, putting anything on anybody at this stage, but how important would it be just to feel like, okay, yeah, that slant across the middle, that does work. The tunnel screen, it works. Just have some moments of success, whether it's a win or a loss on Sunday at Seattle, just to kind of feel like, oh, yeah, that's right. We're still pretty damn good at this despite the negativity of the season.
I think it would help a lot. I mean, I think if you're able to put drives together and string plays together, we have not seen them do a lot of that in the last 3 weeks. And just that consistent level of success of, hey, it's a first down here. Oh, we just got another one. Okay, now it's 2nd and 3. Oh, another first down. And, hey, we put a big play together and we've got a drive rolling and now we're in the red zone and now we have a chance to finish this thing. That can kind of revive a team. It's not going to mean 6-game win streak that gets them into the playoffs necessarily, but I think just having that taste of success, that taste of something that's building momentum. I mean, you hear Kevin O'Connell talk momentum all the time. Momentum matters in the terms of how 53 guys think about their prospects for a season and what they're going to put into it. And
maybe momentum into the next season in some ways.
I think that stuff is useful. I mean, the momentum from season to season, you see different examples of this. Does it apply or not? I mean, I can remember the Lions. Well, yeah, sure. But
with that win at Lambeau at the end?
Exactly.
That's a great point.
I mean, you can see times where if you get hot and people start to buy in a little bit, it can make a difference. Now, there's going to be enough changes to this roster that the continuity of one thing to the next is a little harder to apply than a young Lions team where it was full of draft picks. But I do think there's value in trying to stir up some of those things at this point, even if the playoffs are not going to necessarily be where it goes.
Lastly from me, Seattle. Seattle and the potential cat and mouse game. Who knows more about whom and why? Sam with Flores defense or Flores with how Darnold wants to play? What do you think of all that?
Well, I mean, I think there's going to be quite a bit of that for both because they saw each other a lot in training camp throughout the season. Obviously, they have, in the preseason, in training camp especially, there's a lot of this. We're trying to go at each other, and you're also trying to get your offense installed and get your defense installed, but there are moments of genuine competition. So they have seen enough of those things. I think Flores is going to have a good handle on what Darnold doesn't like. Certainly O'Connell is going to have a good handle on what Darnold doesn't like because he's coached him to try to beat it. So I think all of that stuff plays into it. This is always the question of who knows more about whom. I think it's harder for one person to have an entire summation of what a defense is going to do than a group of coaches and a group of people to have a summation of one person and what he likes or what he doesn't like. So I think it probably plays in the Vikings' advantage a little more, especially probably having studied that Lions game and that Rams game a million times throughout the course of the offseason. They probably know the blitzes that got them beat, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of those same things coming at him on Sunday. So, yeah, I think it probably plays in the Vikings' favor a little bit more. But, certainly always a fascinating thing when we come up to those moments. We saw it with Kirk Cousins last year, too. And when you've practiced against a team this much, and this defense is as unique as what the Vikings run, Darnold will have quite a bit to go off of, and they'll have plenty to go off of on him as well.
Now, Darnold has 14 gives. All right,
Yeah.
10 interceptions. He's lost 4 fumbles. The Seattle Seahawks have given the ball away 20 times, second most in the NFL behind the Minnesota Vikings. So with Darnold, I like how you laid that out about, things that they know have given them problems. But see, it can be even forget Darnold for a second. Just in closing, would you say Seattle's offense with Jackson Smith and Jigba, AJ Barner's getting better, their line's big and pretty good, Walker into Charbonnet and so on, pretty good offense, right?
Yeah, it is.
Well, what plays into this is kind of like with McCarthy and patience required. Young hasn't seen it working. It's everything we all talked about a million times. I think it proves with Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks, patience also is required with that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He now like Grant Udinski, who was here,
right?
He's the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he got that job at a very young age. He's super well respected, and his work with quarterbacks is well recognized.
Yep.
Liam Cohen calls the plays, so that's cool for Udinski in Jacksonville to be raised that way. With Clint Kubiak in his truncated offensive coordinator stint here, I think he did it with the Saints.
Yep.
And now, the Seahawks offense with ample skill position guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kubiak's calling good games.
Yeah.
He's doing a really good job up there. But I mean, a lot listening right now, a half decade ago, I don't think that ever would have felt that would be the case. But you have to be patient sometimes in super hard jobs, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, and I think the context probably matters there a little bit too, where I think that last year, because he was the coordinator here in 21, which was the last year of the old regime, and there was a certain priority placed on one particular way of going about things on offense, namely running the ball.
Right.
And I do think, having talked to play callers about this over the years, I think when that was the case and you knew that you needed to run the ball fairly regularly, it does change the way you call games. So I think that probably played into it a little bit for him here. But yeah, he was young when he got that job. People were very high on him. Kevin Stefanski used to talk about Clint Kubiak in as high a terms as you could. This is back to when Kubiak was applying for his first job in the NFL. Stefanski was going to Leslie Frazier saying, we have to hire this guy. He's that sharp. And this was for like a quality control job.
So you're talking 12, 13 years ago.
Yes. Very low level, entry level NFL job.
Yeah.
Stefanski said, this has to be the guy for this spot. And, they had developed a relationship, but he was as high on Clint Kubiak as you could be, to the point where he was going to Frazier and saying, I want to put my neck on the line for this guy, and I want him here. So he's had a lot of people that are fans of the way he goes about it. Certainly, he learned from his dad, who's one of the best to ever do it. And this offense that has kind of grown around the NFL, his dad is one of the big architects of why that's the way it is. The Kubiak-Shanahan type offense that you see everywhere. Gary Kubiak certainly is a big part of the reason. It's a big part of the reason it came here, because Kevin Stefanski wanted to bring all that stuff to Minnesota when he became the coordinator. But yeah, so Clint Kubiak has had a lot of people that are high on the way he does it, high on the way he thinks about offense, and I think that's continued to give him more chances. But yes, it certainly has paid off for them. Andrew Janocko, the former quarterbacks coach here, is out there doing the same thing, and they've had a lot of success early.
Do you know they got Rick Dennis in there, too, who was the run game coordinator here?
Really?
Yeah, he's the run game guy out in Seattle now,
He's won multiple Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos.
Yep, yeah, he was one of those guys that Gary Kubiak brought in here, and then, that makes sense. All of those connections.
Yeah.
People kind of hire the people that they've connected with and worked with in the past, so that makes sense.
Well, we give thanks for being able to connect with you each and every Tuesday, and a very happy Thanksgiving to you, your wife Marissa, and the rest of your family. Enjoy Thursday and the rest of the week, and we'll see you out in the Cappuccino Capital on Sunday.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours as well.
Thank you. You too.
Ben Goessling, courtesy of Standard Heating and Air. Back after this.
Nord, and it's always brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park. Not a casino, but The Casino. Poker, blackjack, and table games all year round.
Yeah.
And each week you got the NFL Pro Pick'em Challenge, which is sweet. Chance to win money just by picking the football games and free fuel for a year for one lucky customer at Canterbury at the end of the season. They also have the Black Friday special this weekend, 10K giveaway, and I believe starting at 9 on Black Friday. Go pick up your Christmas trees at Canterbury. They really have everything for you. CanterburyPark.com. It's 2 in a row, and this is not a good trend to see here. Whether it was losing at the brink against Phoenix last Friday, and then yesterday, staking it was maybe a little more competitive than you would have liked to see it, but still kind of the Wolves fending them off, and you get 43 or 40 something out of Ant. You dig that, but the Sacramento Kings forcing OT and finding their way into the winner's circle last night. This would be, and you've chronicled it well, PA, just team winless against teams with winning records. Team is dominating and undefeated against teams with losing records. While the 4-13 Sacramento Kings are now 5-13 after winning last night.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple in a row now. And, I've mentioned it earlier. It's like you got to just beat on the bad teams. Every win's going to matter in a weird West. And you'll find your way through things against the OKCs. But now, tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m., OKC, Minnesota Timberwolves need to wipe this bad taste out of their mouths. Hopefully, find a way to beat the 17-1 Thunder.
FIBTA, Fairness and Being Tired Act. I didn't see last night's game. I was absolutely cooked at about 9:15, and that's when I went to bed. So I'm not going to pretend. I looked at the box score. I read a recap.
Yeah.
And I know something. Some things went amiss at the end. And Malik Monk and DeMar DeRozan had cracks to win the game. They missed it. Anthony had a crack to win the game. He missed it, and then they lost in overtime. But I did watch Friday, and the loss to the Phoenix Suns. As early season losses go, that one, as a fan of the Howl, that one frustrated me greatly, because the Timberwolves did what I've seen them do a lot this year. They played in a way like we know we're going to beat you whenever we put the pedal to the metal, and we want to beat you. And they did it. And look, hey, boy, you guys timed that thing up nicely. I think they were up 8 points with a minute to go. Up 8. And then they start throwing the ball. If the game's in Phoenix, one pass went to Scottsdale, the other pass went to Mesa. Then we got passes going to Glendale, and they got so sloppy at the end of the game. It just proves that if you let up an inch in this thing, when you have a team like that has Devin Booker, you better be careful. Even though he fouled out, but nevertheless, the Suns have a winning record. So I don't really know what went into last night. Sacramento's kind of ratty, but they're gonna get better. They were without Sabonis, I know that, but they're getting better. With Doug Christie as the coach, but it's frustrating. Now, I don't know, was it a look ahead to OKC? Was it in any way a look ahead to OKC? Because that's the team that bounced us last year. Did it with aplomb. I mean, they were absolutely the right side in that series, and they got pushed more by the Indiana Pacers in the NBA Finals than the Wolves pushed them in the Western Conference Finals. So that was frustrating. I'm excited for tomorrow's game, just to kind of see where things stand.
No, I'm with you there.
By the way, Finchy starts tomorrow's show at 9 o'clock. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, 9 to noon tomorrow at 9.
Catching holiday strays of thanks as we enter the Thanksgiving season.
Yes.
Monday Night Football, Niners beat the Panthers. Panthers just can't get offense going on a regular enough basis with the defense that provided turnovers last night. Brock Purdy threw 3 picks, but still found his way into the end zone. Christian McCaffrey got a score. Kittle's hot right now. Jawan Jennings gets punched in the swimsuit area, as we would call it.
Is that what he did?
Yeah.
The Merrick thing?
Yeah, Merrick, I think, just absolutely straight up, kind of looked like an aggressive
in the game?
uppercut. Yeah.
Wow.
As the play was ending, and then that's why he went after him after the game.
Yeah, Jawan Jennings, from what I've heard from people who either have played with him or know him quite well, One of the last guys in the NFL that you want to mess with because he's bigger and stronger than people think as a wide receiver. And he has the anger gene, and he's just a tough guy.
Yeah, frankly, just general courtesy in the battle or otherwise. How about you just not jab people in the sack? I mean, that's probably just a good rule to live by in general, game or no game. Mm-hmm. The Niners, though, are 8-4, and they
didn't look great.
They didn't look great, but they're finding their way to victory, and that's kind of where I was going. I mean, down the stretch here, they're 8-4, and in the playoffs as of now. But they're at Cleveland. They get a bye. Then they get the Titans, Bears, and Seahawks, the finale at home. They do go to Indy. That's going to be a tough one. That's primetime as well. But this schedule is laying out for an injured Niners team that is strapping Mac Jones out there, and now Purdy's throwing 3 picks, but they're getting by the bad Panthers. Like, this is a team that with Shanahan and company, maybe by nature of the schedule, but also getting healthy at the right time, like, they're once again, you cannot talk about the NFC playoffs and Rams and Eagles without talking about Shanahan's Niners.
Right. It just further personifies why, like, 9 to Noon started years ago. We call him Next Level Shanning. Yeah. He's just next level with a lot of different things with the way, I mean, they don't always get to where they thought they were going to go, injuries or not. But to not have Brandon Ayuk, okay, you can work around that. Then they lose George Kittle for a large patch of games. Fred Warner is out for the year, one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. Nick Bosa is out for the year, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. They let Hufanga walk in the offseason. He's helping some team. I can't remember which one.
Might be Broncos?
Yeah, the Broncos, thank you. And he's really playing out of his mind for that good Broncos defense, Hufanga, though. But through it all, they keep doing this.
Yeah.
And it personifies the age-old cliche. It doesn't matter how you get to the winner's circle, as long as you get there, we're all getting our pictures taken, or the mark of a good team is one that plays poorly and finds a way to win. And it doesn't matter what the margin of victory is, it matters what goes in the left column.
Indeed.
You start worrying about or thinking about more style points or margin of victory or how you're putting things together for the postseason after this upcoming Sunday. That's why I said the best of the best ever to best, they start taking off right now.
Yeah.
Either this week or the next week after the Sunday games. It'd be interesting to watch.
And that's News to Nord, brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com for all the details. We do have the head coach. We're expecting Kevin O'Connell around the corner, the live edition each and every week here at TCO. And we'll get all his thoughts on the state of the team as they head to Seattle. But additionally, each week we do a talk back of the day that we play for the coach. And I've received some. But I would like to get some more, might you say, that I can sift through and find one for Kevin O'Connell. Free iHeartRadio app. Hit that microphone button. Give us up to your best 30 seconds, and we will play one for the head coach as the final hour goes ahead. You're listening to 9 to Noon on the Fan.